Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for being on the show. My name is Melissa Jacobs. This is Mainline Tonight. Tonight, my guest is Chris Kenny, CEO and President of Kenny Family ShopRites of Delaware. Thank you so much for joining me on Instagram Live. Is that good?
I hope so. It's our first one, so we're working on it.
Yes, actually, let me turn my volume up just a little bit. Okay, so while everybody's joining us, let me give a little bit of background so people know who you are exactly. As I said, you are the CEO and president of Kenny Family ShopRites of Delaware. Your family owns and operates 6 ShopRites in Delaware. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, we do.
You serve 125,000 Delawareans per week. You also run or are part of the Kenny Family Foundation, formed in 1995. The Kenny Family Foundation has donated $6 million in charitable contributions to a wide range of nonprofits in Delaware. In 2019, you founded A Better Delaware, a nonpartisan public policy and political advocacy organization. And you know a little bit about where I live. I live in Wayne. So you're a graduate of Valley Forge Military Academy, right?
That's right. I was at 8th through 12th grade.
Yes, yes. And then you went to the University of Delaware and Delaware Law School. But what I really want to talk to you about is toilet paper.
Sure. We have plenty of toilet paper. Plenty.
I know you do. And we're going to talk about the website that you started, chrislkenny.com, and the hotline that you started. The number on that is 302-223-9982. But seeing as how you run 6 ShopRites in Delaware, and we are still in the middle of a pandemic, I want to talk to you about some of the supply chain issues that arose, how you cared for your workers, and what perhaps the future of grocery shopping might look like. But I want to go back in time to March of 2019. So before COVID-19, how would it normally work for a grocery chain like yours to get orders, have them fulfilled, and have your shelves stocked?
Well, thank you for that lengthy introduction. I appreciate you going back to actually 1989 when I first went to Valley Forge, all the way up until March of this year. So that thank you. That was pretty detailed, and I appreciate that. But in March 11th, prior to the first case in Delaware, we have computer-generated, computer-assisted order systems, so the inventory is managed electronically. So it's scan-based, so as customers come in and they pick things off the shelf and it goes through the register, the inventory management system knows the purchase was made, it knows what was purchased, it knows what quantity was purchased, and it immediately adjusts the inventory and then draws on the warehouse or the consumer product manufacturer, supply chain, all the way back. So then they know through their electronic, that we have another unit that was sold, another store had the same number or same quantities. And it's really a very electronic driven. And even in the warehouses now, the pickers are on these robotic machines that they're on, and they are slotted in real time based on demand that's coming. So it's a very rhythmic operated process. Our organization, like others in the retail industry, usually are on 7-day deliveries for most of the departments. There's about a dozen departments in the store.
But let's say there's like a blizzard coming or some sort of like weather event, coming, and people start stocking up on things. Is there a plan B, plan C, plan G, whatever it is? What do you do in normal, semi-normal situations if there's, let's say, a blizzard coming and people start buying a lot of things?
Well, it's actually not very difficult, and we're very used to that. There's never a blizzard for the entire country. So there's always very reactive and response time. There's usually plenty of notice. Even if it's 2 or 3 days, we can get direct shipments from the manufacturer. We can get direct shipments from warehousing. We can increase supply orders. We can accelerate. There's acceleration things that we can do in the technology that we have in order to order more and more quickly. And they put on extra shifts at the warehouse and at the CPG manufacturers and their transportation. So, I mean, that's a normal situation.
Okay.
So
I want to
pre March 12th.
Right. Well, I want to fast forward to January of 2020 when COVID-19 reports started coming out of China and other places. Was at that point, before March, so like January, February, was there any movement among grocery store owners to stock up on things? Was there any sort of, prediction that the situation would get as bad as it got?
As far as I know, from my personal perspective, I did not receive anything before even March 12th that said. Hey,
yeah, so on March 12th, so I was looking on your, first of all, let me reintroduce you because a lot of people are joining us. So you are Chris L. Kenny, CEO and president of Kenny Family ShopRites of Delaware. You and your family own 6 ShopRites in the state of Delaware. So on March 12th, you, by then we sort of knew that something was coming. We didn't know what, but on your public Facebook page, you posted pictures of water and other supplies, and you wrote, "We are ready, Delaware." That was March 12th. On March 19th, you posted again and said, "We're out of stock of certain items." And then the post started to change. There was a 48-hour delay in deliveries. Things started to go downhill from there. So what happened? What happened?
So the difference between what we have in a traditional snowstorm and what occurred is you had everybody in the entire nation upping that order at the same time. So if you have the East Coast that has a snowstorm and says, "I need a trailer of or my warehouse needs 10 trailers," and then the retailer says, "I need a trailer," right, because my customer wants to buy a case instead of a 4-pack, right? Multiply that by the entire 50 states versus 2 or 3 that are going to experience a snowstorm. So that
was it the same across all of the departments, like for paper goods and eggs and poultry? Like, was it the same, or were certain things different?
It starts with the immediate basic essentials like bread and toilet paper and water and very simple basic things. But then as the momentum grows, it grows into other necessities. And as the time went on, it's, adult incontinence products at some point and hair dye thing, grooming things. So as things went on, the demand went greater for those traditional things because there's also not just the demand from the entire country, but it's a funnel of where the access points were, whereas the supermarket.
So let's talk about let's get specific. Let's talk about toilet paper. Was there not enough made? Was there not enough in the warehouses? Were there not enough truckers to get it where it had to go? Where were the glitches?
I don't think that they were glitches. Is that when you have a traditional supply demand of X amount and you have a surge demand that can go, let's say 5 or 10x, that's rational. You can have storage, you can have boom supplies that are available. But when you have 100 or 1,000 times, nobody can even possibly have 1,000 times what their demand would be rationally expected. You'd be pulling and sitting on and warehousing and expensing things for a 100-year flood or 1,000-year flood. It's not even financially rational for those expectations. It's the same problem we're running into, with the respirators. Are we going to have 300 million respirators sitting, waiting to go for the next pandemic? Is that even feasible, possible, financially rational? It's that concept.
So let's talk about what was I know what life was like here on the main line, in grocery stores those 2 weeks and the first week of April. What was it like in your stores?
The first 2 weeks? It was the first two, I can tell you. So we're very, very used to high volume environments, and we're very used to snowstorm level volumes every single year. Last year, I guess there was no snow, but normally, traditionally, there's snow. So we're used to doing 50 to 100% more volume a day in those types of environments. And it lasts for 2 days, maybe. That's it. Maybe 3 days. And then you get a day where the snow's on the ground and everybody's sitting around, what are we going to do? So it's it. What you had here was 50%, 100%, 150%. And then every single day, 150% or more of volume, and it just compounded and compounded. So what the effects are, you have a very tired workforce.
And you put something out on March 22nd saying that you were going to do surge hiring, right?
Absolutely. We had to get.
So explain what surge hiring is.
Well, surge hiring is, our company varies between 1,250 and 1,500 associates, depending on the seasonal volume. Surge volume would be if you're going to have sustainable levels over 50% or greater in your volume, you got to put a significant and more amount of hours into your departments and into the facility so that you can manage the transaction load. And so you got to bring people in. So we were hiring like 100 people a day in the beginning of the pandemic to get everybody in the door and process the product.
And then you have to train them. I mean, you had to get them up to speed on what to do.
That was a big thing. Safety is a huge thing with our company, with our associates. So we were very concerned about that. But we knew we had to do the right thing. We were on the front. We knew we were on the front lines day one. In Delaware, we're already near first responder status. They grant the grocery teams a lot of access to the roads and to our places of business. So that we can feed our people. So we know that we got to provide for them and keep them safe.
What was the state of mind of your customers? What was the feeling in the stores? Because here it got ugly. I know Delawareans are different.
Well,
what was it like there?
I don't want to say that we didn't have our incidents, but I can tell you it is a lot of times a reflection of how the situation is handled, how our associates handled the situation. And we did some posts on that. We showed some videos. We did some things where we interviewed our associates about this exact topic. And the answers that they had were I was surprised they were the exact answers. If they would have came to me and asked what you asked, like what happened, I would have said, well, this is what you do. And they were saying it. You have to reflect how you want them to act. So if you're going to be calm, cool, and collected because you've been through a snowstorm 100 times, and now it's just one that never ends, you are the one that is saying, hey, guys, we know where the registers are. We know where the product is. You're in the building, and you're going to get the boats at some point, right? It may not be your normal time frame, but it's going to happen. Relax. And, I'm a little bit more frank, but they are seasoned. They're on the sales floor all day long dealing with people, and they did a phenomenal job. So we didn't have any brawls. We didn't have any cans tossed at people's heads and all the funny stuff, that people went through crazy iterations of. We had a very fortunate time where our people were deadly focused on getting them in and out the door and safely.
I don't think there's ever been a time when people who work in grocery stores were considered essential workers and frontline workers. I can't imagine what it's been like for your associates, as you say, your staff, to come to work and have to deal with, you don't know who's coming in the door, you don't know what's happening, and then go home and deal with your own family and your own concerns. So how have you been taking care of the mental health of your employees?
Well, we are an extremely progressive employer, and we've always been very concerned about our health and welfare of our associates. And we've had access to mental health care on a regular basis. We post signs. We encourage people to be proactive about it. And, this was something, too, that, we explained that there's resources available if you're concerned about whether or not this is something that, is affecting you in a way that you're not too sure. We've also made it clear that people, if they, weren't able to come for any reason, that we were not mandating, we weren't going to terminate somebody because they had some concern relating to the virus. And, we put in a very aggressive leave policy, very, very early on. We put a hazard pay policy in. We paid bonuses. We tried to make people as comfortable as possible. We put barriers up on the registers. We distributed.
Yeah, so let's talk about, so let me tell people again, you are Chris Kenny. You are CEO and president of Kenny Family ShopRites of Delaware. Let's talk about the physical changes to the store. What happened? How did you figure it all out?
Well, it was one of the benefits of it being, in a retail industry that's a mature industry that's been around for a long time and has a lot of competition, is that, we do have trade associations. We do have large national and then local regional trade associations. And so immediately, when you become the focal point of how the nation is going to feed itself, you look for, what are we all going to do? It's not just, what is this store going to do? And this company does it better, or that company does it differently. It's, we all need to do this now, and then we're going to do this now, and then we're all going to do this. And that was really critical for our organization and for all of the organizations. They're pretty much doing everything at the same time. Soon as one person brings in the face shields on the registers, everybody had it. Soon as somebody started putting sign work down on the floors for flow, everybody had it. Soon as sign went up.
So your aisles were one way, right?
Right. There's a very strict list of protocols. I mean, I have a.
And where did that list come from? Because here there's been confusion. Did you get that list from your trade associations? Did it come from the state of Delaware?
Everybody gets, they get around on a Zoom and say, this is pretty much what we're going to do, and then either we did it or then the governor picked up on it, because our trade association is tied right in with the emergency management, because we're the food supply. So we're right there with making sure that the people are going to be able to eat and feed themselves. So they need to know. And so that was a coordination between the state and between the trade associations and the retailers. And it really worked worked well at making sure that everybody got up to speed as quickly as possible on whatever.
Did you get any guidance from the federal government, or would it not be appropriate for the federal government to get involved at that level?
Well, I mean, I don't remember seeing anything that said that the federal government is saying. It was more as the CDC recommends this, figure out how to execute it more on, they recommend social distancing. Okay, figure it out. And then the states did it. And then how did the states do it? Some did it in a vacuum, I guess. Some of them did it with businesses directly. Some went through trade associations, but somehow they got to, or some, maybe they didn't. I don't know what the state's policies are, but,
Well, Delaware also closed its borders, right? So
we have some stores that are close to the borders, like our Concord Pike store is pretty close to PA. So
the state of Delaware closed its borders.
Right.
So
if they saw a PA plate in our Concord Pike store, it would have been a problem, right?
Yes. So I'm the senior editor of Mainline Today. I live in Wayne, but Delaware Today is our sister magazine, and I'm also an editor there. And I can't come to Delaware.
Well, I think they're lifting a lot of that. I want to say thank you to the viewer that just said, proud to call you a friend. Thank you very much. That's very nice.
Yes, indeed. So on April 3rd, you posted that your first associate tested positive for COVID-19. What was that like for you? I mean, you don't know where the associate contracted it. It's definitely not necessarily from your store, but to know that you had one associate or employee who had COVID-19, how did that impact you?
Well, our biggest concern immediately was the severity of the situation and understanding really what is the level of comorbidity, I think is the word, or what are the other issues? What is the family situation? When were they there? When are they who have they contacted? Really just the nuts and bolts of the
tracing you're talking about.
The tracing and the sleuth work that has to be done to protect himself, their family, and to see the gauge of their amount of risk that they're going to present to themselves and others. So that's always initial. And then after that, it's, we're not the only ones that had a positive. At the time that we had a positive, it had already hit dozens and dozens of other supermarkets and employers nationwide. So our trade association, again, and others that we do business with, they already had a whole set of protocols on exactly what to do, how to do it. Really fortunate.
It sounds like your trade association really stepped up and really was
big time. Julie Merringer with the Delaware Food Industry Council is a titan. She just comes to the table. Every day we're getting laundry lists of what we have to do, and if we're not going to do it, she's in the office with the governor. So if we don't do it, he's going to make us do it. So we got to do it.
Wow. Okay, so Chris Kenny, CEO and president of Kenny Family ShopRites of Delaware, one of the biggest grocery chain stores in Delaware. I want to talk about, I know you're the boss, and that your concern is for your customers and your employees. But what was your life like at the end of March and through April? You have to also be concerned. You have a lovely wife who I know, and 2 kids with her, and you had to be concerned about your own health and safety. So were you working like 14-hour days? I'm sure you were. What was your life like?
Well, fortunately, we have been aggressively succession planning in our family business. It's very important. I think 97% of businesses don't make it to the 3rd generation, and I think 80% don't make it to the 2nd. So we have been very focused. My father turned 82 a few days ago. So we've been very focused on succession planning from both my perspective and then also to my sister for myself. We just promoted my sister in January to executive vice president.
She has a great name, I heard.
Melissa Rights, yes, that's right. So this presented the perfect opportunity for her to step up the plate. She doesn't have any children. It's not as if we're sacrificing her. But I took really everything up until the stay-at-home order, and that's when she kind of went in. And so then I worked from home, and she went into the office. And now June 1st will be my first day back, and now she's going to go. She can't go to Hawaii. She can't get on the plane, but she's going to take a little bit of time. And so the good thing with succession planning and having multiple family members that are interested and working and enjoying the business and making it successful, you can come in and out like baseball players.
Let's talk about the website and the hotline that you started. So it's chrislkenny.com, and the hotline is 302-223-9982. And you started that April 27th. Why did you start it, and what's been the reaction? Let's start with why you started it. What was your intention?
Well, first of all, my 6-year-old and 3-year-old are not in the business yet. But they've been there, so I hope they will be interested at some point. We'll see. But the point with the website and the social media was to really, as I'm stepping back from the business, and my sister is able to come in and do more of the day-to-day, I'm able to get out and do a lot of the things like tonight that we wouldn't normally be doing. So as you grow your size of your organization, the depth of your leadership in your organization, you're able to endeavor into more things that can have a more positive effect on the overall organization. If I'm out there as a public relations basis for the organization, because I have now the time to do that, it adds incremental value back to the organization. Whereas before, if I was bared down into the store every single day and I didn't have time to do that, and all we could do is send out a press release, it's not as meaningful. So as your company gets bigger and you're able to afford certain things, you go out and you really you do it right. And the right way to do it is put your butt into it, put your face into it, pay, and disclose things you may not normally want to do. But you go out there, you be genuine, and that's what I've been doing. And it's been good, and it's been...
Well, we're going to talk about your mindset in a minute, but I want to ask about what you see as what might be some permanent changes in grocery shopping. And the impact perhaps of online, like Instacart and those things. So where do we stand now with, people are still going to the grocery store. People are using Instacart. What do you think will stay with us as perhaps some long-term changes to your business?
What I would love that would change is if what was going on since March 12th continues, but I don't think that that's going to happen. And really what's happened is it's 1955 all over again. I wasn't alive, you weren't alive, but if you go back into history in 1955, you had everybody home from the war that had children, and they were all in the home. And when people went to work, they brought the food with them, and they came home and they ate together. They all ate breakfast together. They all ate. Very nice. Thank you, Nina Zonin. So there was, you had everybody home. People weren't eating at conventions. The restaurant percentage of the overall pie of what people were eating every day was this much. Now it's, before March, it was almost half. It was a huge number where people were eating at conventions, or they were eating at work, or they were eating on their way to work, or they weren't eating food. They were having expensive sugary drinks and lattes. And so all the calorie consumption was out of a traditional supermarket family cooked meal, 3 meals a day, whole family eating out. That's where we're at right now. whole family pooping.
So you
in the
think
home.
home cooking is going to stick around for a while?
That's going to be around. Now, as people come out of a Great Depression or major depression, are they going to act like that more so initially? Absolutely. But after about 6 months or a year or so, as people's savings start to bulk up and their credit card usage start to come down, and they've not bought that second car, and there you go. We're all cooking more at home. Right?
That's my mom. She's cooking.
Well, we love you, Mom. We love you, Mom. That would be great, but that's not going to happen. But what is going to happen, all right, I think you're definitely going to see the continuation of a lot more online shopping. I think you're going to have a real sensitivity to certain classes of individuals that may have comorbidity factors, and they're really concerned about their health, and they might take that into consideration going forward, especially. Are
you geared up to do the online shopping?
That's been a challenge. That's not an easy thing, and it's the same issue as toilet paper, right? We're ready if we're going to do 50% more or 100% more for a few days, but nobody's ready for the whole nation to do 1,000% more a day every day. So it's tough. It's very tough. That was good meatloaf. So I think I know whose meatloaf it is. So, look, Instacart went through their issues. We have Instacart, of course. When we try to hire 10,000 drivers or whatever they had to do within 24 hours, you're going to have a lot of growing pains. You're going to have training, safety issues, like we talked about. Training, a lot of issues. You're going to have disgruntled associates who are not onboarded properly. They're not going to treat the customer properly. They're going to leave the product at the wrong place. They're going to have all their friends in the car. Every kind of scenario, it's going to happen. That's what happens when you have wild growth like that. But the market will become more online focused. So we're absolutely going to see.
And I know that you wanted to make very clear that the state of groceries, like things are stable right now, that there are no shortages, and that supplies are here and your stores are fully stocked, right?
Absolutely. I forgot one other trend that we are currently aggressively pursuing is partnering with the suffering restaurants that are out there that really have been hit really hard. So we just did start a new program. We saw it was happening nationally. There was a couple other places that have done it. So we partnered with some local restaurants to bring their products in. And we're not making anything. We're not even renting it, nothing. We're just saying whatever you bring in, sell it, it's yours. We want to hope that, if all the customers are in our building and they are not even allowed to go into your building, if you need to help to, come on and use the product. So that was something that we just did, and we're looking forward to continue that. But in terms of, long-term product shortages, even with the current meat issues that you're seeing, it's the limits. So you talked about it earlier. How are they going to moderate this situation? It's the same thing. You have limits. So you have 51 states. They're all buying chicken, right? And they're buying chicken, and they all want it because the customer wants it sliced thin, boneless and skinless, right? You can't supply that in this environment when you're going to have – the only way to do that is to have people shoulder to shoulder lined in giant warehouses, 100,000 square feet, doing the same thing. You can't do that. So you're going to have to buy a whole chicken. You're going to have to bring it home. You're going to have to cook it. It's $19.55 for a little while on that particular item. So you will have chicken. It's just not going to be boneless, skinless breast in a 2-pound pack sliced perfect for you. We never ran out of toilet paper. You didn't get 4-pack Angel Soft. You got the single roll we had to buy from a food distributor, not even a traditional consumer product, but you had toilet paper. And you'll have chicken. It just won't be the chicken.
We did not have it here. And in Wayne, there are still supermarkets who I will not name that do not even have paper towels on the shelves. There's been I know.
But you can't come in. That's the problem. That was a problem. You can't come. I think we can come out though, right? So if you ordered it, we could have delivered it out there. Next time, call me. I will have deliver that thing all the way out to Wayne. I'll stop.
I'm going to take you up on that. I want to talk a little bit about mindset and leadership mindset and your history at Valley Forge Military Academy, but also I understand that you practice martial arts, and you are, yes, and so do I, as a matter of fact. And so we, in my group, my martial arts group, we've been talking a lot about mindset and that you bring to this what you came with, right? So it's a lifelong training process in a lot of ways, so that when things go down, when things get bad, you're ready to respond, not with anger or violence, but with clarity and calmness. So what has been your mindset? People say you're an amazing leader, and you are. What have you been sort of doing your whole life, do you think, that prepared you for this moment?
Well, I think it does start with Valley Forge. It starts with Wayne. It starts where you're at. I mean, that when I got there, I was, just turned 13 years old and, left there 5 years later. So, you're kind of in a cauldron of leadership for 5 years in your most formative years. And you see it all. You see bad leaders. You see good leaders. You see.
It was a tough place when you were there. I mean, you graduated in 1994, right? It was tough.
A lot of different things happening at different parts of the day in different places. So, and my son actually, I have a son I just adopted last year, and he just graduated. He spent 4 years there, and so we are really enamored with Valley Forge. My wife and I got married there a couple years ago, and we absolutely.
So what are the values that Valley Forge Military instilled in you?
Integrity. Just be honest. Be honest, and that is the biggest thing, is be credible, be honest. That is the key. The other is is just leadership, and it's tough to say leadership. Leadership. You know bad leadership and you know good leadership, but you only know it as if, in my opinion, if you've experienced it. If you've had a bad boss, you know what a bad boss is. If you've had a great boss, you feel such a loss when they're gone and when they move on. You know it, you feel it, you live it, you breathe it.
But how do you be a good boss? Because nobody saw this coming, but some people, there's been a lack of leadership on a lot of different levels, right? National, some local, some corporate, all kinds. In families, around the dining room table, not all families are created the same, as you well know. How do you look at a situation like a pandemic when there are shortages and people are going berserk? How do you say, I'm going to lead, I'm going to step up and lead?
Because nobody else will. One of my mantras is, if somebody else isn't going to do it, I'm going to do it just to do it, because no one else is going to do it. If it's not an opportunist mentality, it's more of, there's a need. And if you see the need and there's a real need for something and nobody's doing it, just do it. If you do it wrong, you can't fault you because you tried and the other people didn't even try. So, and the way you learn to lead is you learn by mistakes. You're perfectly free to make mistakes. And if you have a leader that you've learned from that allows you to make the mistakes, then you make more and you get better and better and better. The key is to not punish somebody for their mistakes. And so if you grow in an environment that allows you to have that opportunity to grow by making mistakes and learn how to lead better by making mistakes, then you just get really, really good at it. And don't be afraid to mess up, to go in the wrong direction, and to tell somebody when it didn't work. I know it didn't work, but I did it. So what? I made a mistake.
Well, what I hear you saying is, it's a matter of you serve your customers, you serve your employees, and it's about serving. And I think that you've done that amazingly well, and I know that people respect you so much in Delaware. I want to thank you for, I want to give out that website again. It is chrislkenny.com, and the phone number is 302-223-9982. I want to thank you for spending some time with me on Mainline tonight, and please give my regards to your lovely wife. And I want to thank Half Genius, the PR team that connected us. They are full geniuses in my book. Thank you for spending some time with me. Thank you for explaining all of this to me, and I wish you and your family the best.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay.